In comic book mythology, an origin story is an account that reveals how a character gained their powers and the circumstances under which they became a protagonist or antagonist. In nerd culture, every person has an origin story that set them on the path of being a lifelong nerd. These are their stories.
Jason Elizabeth Summer. You are wanted
not right.
for questioning on the suspicion of not being a nerd. What do you have to say for yourself?
I find those accusations to be fraudulent, pointless, and have the sole intent of just completely undermining my character, and I wish to rebut them.
I got nothing. So, welcome back to Eat, Sleep, Nerd. In this Nerdy Origins story series, we're going around the hosting table to interview all of our hosts to get their backstory on what makes them a nerd. And next up is Jason Summer. So, Jason, you have a lot to explain about why you are a nerd.
Well then. So, first of all, I want to make sure that you're speaking with the right person. I am not Jason Elizabeth Summer.
Yes, you are.
Until
you calling me a liar?
That, I can. Yes.
Oh, okay.
Until you acknowledge that fact, there's no point in having in these proceedings.
Well, so who are you, Jason?
I'm Jason M. Summer.
Meredith.
Marjorie.
What is wrong with you? Matilda. Jason
Megan.
Matilda Summer.
Anyway, so let's get right to the point. So, Jason, I want to know what makes you a nerd. And at the end of this video, if you have not proven yourself, you're off the team. So you have a lot riding on this.
Okay, all right, I can do this. Hang on. Okay. Okay.
I'm already not trusting you because you've lost your mustache.
Some people say that, that men who wear beards and mustaches are hiding something. So one would say that I've actually made myself a little more trustworthy. Are you sure you're ready for this, Corey?
I'm not actually at all.
How you doing over there, Christian?
Yes, he's doing great.
I'm with you, but I'm still very suspicious.
Okay.
Anyway, so first question, Jason, what gives you the right to call yourself a nerd?
That seems a rather
Pointed,
significantly
yes.
open-ended question. It's actually quite subjective because what I may be considering nerd and nerdy may not be considered that to others. So, but I will say that I have a fairly consistent love throughout my life of superheroes and comic characters and science fiction, and I love reading fantasy and science fiction and watching fantasy movies. When I was involved in high school in my extracurricular activities, I was heavily focused and involved in them to the point of, one would say, being overzealous, which any geek or nerd can respect, whether that
nerds
be
being
ROTC. No. Strong opinions on things. What?
No.
Yeah. So, and that those kinds of the appreciations for those topics and that genre has continued to now, and it's been pretty consistent in my life. So I would say that plants me solidly within the geek nerd world.
Okay.
How's that?
I mean, anything can be nerdy.
Yeah.
As long as you geek out on it. So,
right.
So you're talking about comic books. You're talking about acting. You're talking about video games. Anything else I'm missing? What else?
Well, I mean, if you kind of want to just come up to speed, the acting is definitely something that's been in the. I mean, it's the latter part of my life. I was never.
Yeah.
I wasn't into acting until my early 30s. So
Really?
that's
Okay, we'll
yeah,
touch on that
really
in a second.
okay.
Okay.
So that's kind of later in life. I still very much enjoy video games. I love going to the movies. The entire movie experience is a big deal for me. Like if I'm not in my seat to watch the trailers, I'm not happy. Like it actually
Same.
almost ruins the entire experience for me.
Same.
So yeah. I mean, and I know it really honestly doesn't mean anything in the grand scheme of things, but that's the experience that I love.
Yeah.
Again, I love reading science fiction and fantasy. I love having my collection on display. My books on my in my I don't have a library yet, but I'll call it a library. It's my library of books, not an actual room. But and I like having nice versions, hard copy versions of books that I particularly like. So I get
He's a
I
book
get
nerd.
really
Oh,
yeah. So anyway,
so
yeah.
when you say love,
Mhm.
can you describe that love of science fiction and fantasy?
That's a good question. I like that one. So I think for me, I never was part of a popular group. I never felt the lack of it. I never felt like I was missing on it. But I definitely recognized the fact that I was not a popular kid. I wasn't part of the upper caste of any school that I was in, and that was fine. But I definitely found solace and a reprieve in these stories in science fiction and fantasy. Fantasy because it was a complete escape from reality, and I could envision these worlds that the books took me to. And science fiction certainly because of potential that we have as a species, and I sometimes ache to do things like they can do in Star Trek, like explore the stars and explore the galaxy. The fact that we are still like at the moon is painful because
Yeah.
I know
It's very
like there's a
frustrating.
part of me that just knows we could be further. But we're not there. So science fiction is the kind of the what could be and what will be, and so I find I find connection in that.
Yeah, that sounds solid.
Thank you.
There could be a little bit more dug into.
Okay.
As far as like music, scientifically, like for the people that listen to music and get goosebumps, scientifically there's something different about their brains that connects into that. So is that sort of like a thing for you in, I guess, those grand schemes of storytelling?
So first of all, I know exactly what you're talking about with the goosebumps in music. I can't think of anybody who doesn't like music.
Hate it,
but
it's the worst.
right. But no, I mean they're definitely something that I think music is special in a way that I think when we share it with each other, it's like we're sharing a piece of our soul with each other, because it's something that connects, that we internalize in a very, very personal level. And so when we share something that makes us feel strongly with music, we're sharing a piece of our soul, I think. So there are certain books that I feel that strongly about, where I feel like that if someone were to read this book and appreciate it similarly in a similar way to that I would, or watch a movie that I feel that way about, that we would connect on a spiritual or soul level. Now, a lot of people are going to balk at this one, but one of those books actually is Battlefield Earth, which is written by L. Ron Hubbard, the Scientology guy. I don't Scientology. I don't care. That's the book itself. The first half of the book is the humans reclaiming Earth. The second half of the book is the humans finding out that Earth has become part of some sort of universal economic system, and that they're in default And not only does he have to unify the world because everybody's just kind of tribal at that point, but the main character also has to ensure that the earth isn't essentially foreclosed on. And I say these things in a very, very simple terms, but it's a very complex concepts in the book, and it's just phenomenal to me. So sharing that book is something that I enjoy sharing with people. Any book pretty much by Terry Brooks, who's a fantasy author. He wrote the Sword of Shannara, Magic Kingdom for Sale, Sold. He actually wrote the book, the novelization of The Phantom Menace when it came out in 1999.
Oh, okay,
Nice.
Yeah, I really enjoy his writing. So anybody who appreciates Terry Brooks, like, I find an instant connection to. So and speaking of which, Terry Brooks is one of his books is one of the I first read him during one of those periods of time where I definitely did not feel like I was part of any group when I was in middle school, and that's kind of when I first encountered him.
In middle school.
Yeah. So
Middle school was a.
but anyway, so yeah. So and there are plenty, I mean, there are plenty of others. I had one that was recommended to me that I thought was really great called Dust by Howley, I think. It's actually been made into a series recently called Silo.
Oh,
Yeah,
I started watching
like,
that actually.
or Howie or something. Yeah, Hugh Howie or Hugh. Yeah, I read this book like, I don't know, 7 or 8 years ago. Post-apocalyptic Earth. People are trying to survive. It's a little bit like Fallout in that way. Like they're in a silo. What do they call them in Fallout?
Shelters.
Shelters. What do you call those?
I don't know. I've only ever watched Josh play them.
Yeah.
I have no idea.
Oh, okay. Anyway, so it's. I think there's also the persistence of humanity after the worst. I think there's also that aspect.
Okay.
Very nice.
Okay. Where were you on the night of your first nerdy memory, Jason? What was your earliest nerdy memory where you recognized that you might actually be a nerd?
It's more like it's a timeline. It's not an actual event. I think as my life has progressed over the 44 years,
that I've
100
been
years
in existence.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Wow.
You look back and you look at events differently.
Yeah.
Like there was one particular event which I look back and just actually absolutely shuddered in embarrassment. It was in first grade. I mean, what do you know what you're doing in first grade?
Yeah.
But after I got into theater, I looked at it differently because it really was one of the first memories that indicated that I probably enjoyed doing theatrical type performances. And so I would, and since I've geeked out on that so much in the last 12 years now, I'd say that was probably my first geeky memory, nerdy memory. And basically we were all singing in class, and we were doing some sort of alligator song. And one of the girls in the class, I guess had heard it before, and there were actually hand movements to go with it. And
sounds like the first iteration of Baby Shark.
I it might be actually. Anyway, but the teacher complimented her and said, "Oh, that's great." And then we all learned the movements that this kid was making. I didn't realize that this wasn't something that she didn't just make up. So in the next song that we sang, which was in some foreign language, I just started gesticulating in some weird manner in like interpretive dance. And the teacher stopped strumming her guitar, looked at me, and said, "What are you doing?" I said, "I'm making up hand motions." And she goes, Wait,
were you singing foreign languages in first grade?
I was curious about that too.
Oh, yeah.
What?
Yeah.
What kind of Dr. X school were you at?
It was St. Margaret's Catholic School in New York.
Wow.
Interesting.
Okay.
Right on.
Now I remember I remember being let's see, He-Man went just unceremoniously went off the air when I was 5. Like I would watch He-Man religiously, and one day it wasn't on, and so my mom checked it out, and like I guess it was 84, 85, and she goes, "Oh, it's been canceled." And I was like, "What does that mean? It's never coming on again." And I bawled for like an hour. Let's see. Star Wars, like Star Wars has always been a part of my life. Luke Skywalker has always been one of the core characters that I've tried to emulate. Not just as, I mean, he's a decent and good person. Same thing with Superman. Always been a core part of my life. A lot of people find him boring these days, but I will never find him that way.
All right, so that actually answers my next question. Superman, favorite comic book character. Even got a little Superman mug there. Love it. Love it.
Yes, I do. Yes, I do. Yeah.
Any questions from that?
Yeah, actually, I feel like we
tell us more about that school you went to. No.
Is there anyone shooting beams at their eyes? I feel like we've gone over this subject about Superman.
Yeah.
But there's a bunch of like superheroes and things that have come on TV that would attract certain people. But what really attracted you to Superman?
Good question. Is it because you've been around as long as he has?
That was the 30s. Jackass. and just so you know, Superman, the concept of Superman did start out as a villain.
What?
Okay, go on.
Is that what you relate to?
No, I'm just saying it's an interesting bit of trivia.
Okay.
And then he was kind of revamped like a year later or something like that. But I'll have to, I don't know all the details on it. So Superman, God, so first of all, he is, I think, one of the best examples of like peak human physical form. And so there's that. I mean, you just say what?
He's an alien, but it's fine.
Yeah, you know what I mean. But I mean,
yeah.
But the
I'm playing
whole
bad cop, Jason.
Alien
sapien.
But the reason why Earth was chosen by his people is because he looked identical to that species. So therefore, anyway, so I think there's that. I think anybody looks up to somebody who looks like a hero. So there's that. Secondly, is that he has all of this power, and that's actually one of the aspects of Superman that are like plot lines in recent movies and recent comics. Even Batman versus Superman, Dawn of Justice, is that he has so much power that he could easily destroy the Earth on a whim. But he's gentle and he's kind, and he recognizes that he has that. And because he has these powers, he has a responsibility and a duty to not only take care of people and to use those powers for good, to use a cliche, but to do so in a responsible and humane way. Like one of the things that is consistent in Superman stories and comics is that he is always pulling his punches, even when he's fighting against some of his strongest characters. He never goes full out, and he's only had to do so a few times. One was with Doomsday. One was, I think, Darkseid isn't, or others, so even then he only does what he has to do in order to stop the whatever the threat is. So, and he's also never been portrayed as the smartest hero. He's smart, but not the smartest. So he has some flaws. He's not like the pinnacle, but he's up there. So, and I think finally I like that pretty consistently they've decided, whoever's writing the comics and the Superman stories have decided that in the main Superman timeline to keep him this way, regardless. They've done some spin-offs like Injustice and some other, other comic lines and stuff like that. But, for the main, canonical Superman, he is still just essentially the last living Boy Scout type thing.
Yeah. Okay. Are you satisfied with that answer?
I guess. It sounds pretty good.
On thin ice there, Jason.
Well, the speed or the secret to skating and staying on thin ice is in the speed.
I feel like that's sort of true, yeah.
It's actually, that checks out. Checks out.
That's
right,
Emerson. That's not me. That's
All right, so I'm going to pull some questions from the rest of our detective squad that's not here tonight. So first
apparently
up,
this is an important case.
yes.
I mean, if it's only the two of you, I feel like I'm going to be able to walk here in just a few minutes.
Wow.
Yeah,
We got 3 other detectives on this.
walking into the ER.
Is that a threat, officer? Is that a threat
It's
detective?
only a threat if it doesn't happen.
No.
Otherwise,
So then
it's
it is
promise.
assaultive. I feel like you're in the position that could actually put me in harm. Your words could be an assault.
Now, if Batman can do it, I can.
Batman works outside the law.
We're like bad cop, good-ish cop.
Okay.
Yeah.
So this is a question from Josh.
You may not ask that one.
Is this your real hair?
Kind of hurt.
I think it comes from a place of envy.
Okay.
You do have fantastic hair, though.
It is quite swoopy.
Thank you. Yeah.
It's bouncy.
So the one thing I have to say is that this hair has nothing to do with me. Hair, how your hair turns out in life is genetic. So it's like, this is not something that I've worked on it's not like working out. It's not like I've gotten my doctorate in my hair. This is completely genetic. I have zero input on how this turned out. So yeah, this is my real hair. My genetics for keeping my hair and, into my 40s is was from my mom and dad.
Okay.
And so yeah, it's mine.
Look at that. That
Wow.
wig is stuck on there.
Yeah.
Good glue.
Now I will say that I have noticed it is thinning on top. A little bit, not a lot. And there's definitely some silver hair. It's not graying, it's like silver. It catches the light. It's weird. But yeah.
I mean, just to get some silver in your hair near 40, it's not bad.
Yeah, not bad at all. All right, let's get back to the nerdy stuff. So this comes from Britt, and this is a pretty heavy question here.
Okay.
So it's going to make you do some thinking. She wants to know, what makes you want to put yourself out there as a content creator?
Mm.
And for the audience, I mean, this is not the first show you've done. You actually did a movie review channel, however long ago that was.
Mm-hmm.
So this is not your first rodeo. You've been doing the content creation stuff for a while.
So I think part of it, or a lot of it, is the fact that I am an absolute ham. I love the spotlight. I don't mind the camera. I don't mind the stage. I love giving presentations. I love doing training videos and training content. I have zero problem being in front of people. Now, having said that, I also really enjoy sharing that platform. Like, I don't have to hog the spotlight. I love sharing it. But I definitely want to be in it. So there's that. So the idea, I think, of putting together content and putting it out there for the world to see, is attractive to me. I like the idea of saying something that might resonate with somebody thousands of miles away, and that I make a connection with a person. So, and of course, the nerdy and geeky topics is just a great place to spend a lot of that time. I love talking movies. I love talking games. I love talking comic characters. All the things that we've been talking about on this channel, I love to just completely, geek out about. And then, of course, finally being able to talk about it with you all, who I absolutely love spending time with, and love hearing all of your opinions on. And so being able to do that and the social media platform, I think, is one of the most fun things that I'm doing in my life right now.
So that means we can backtrack into your acting.
Yes.
Mm.
So you said that you got into it in your early 30s.
Yep.
And it's always been on your mind. You just never got into it, correct?
Because like you said, mentioned you got into it, like the idea of it, like all the way back in like first grade.
Well,
but didn't really take that step until the 30s.
So it was more like in retrospect, I found that I had a proclivity for it, but I didn't realize it until I was going through a pretty rough time in 2009, and it was things were pretty rough in general, and I felt like I was kind of living a pointless existence. And I sat down with one of my friends, and they said, well, if you could do anything that you wanted right now, what would you do? And I said, and I thought for a while, and then I started laughing, and they're like, what? I'm like, it's going to sound so stupid. And they're like, what? I said, I want to act. And they were like, so do it. And so I said, okay. So, I was working shift work at the time. And I was working second shift, which I knew didn't work for theater. So I had to wait until, we did shift bids at the job I was at. And then I also knew that if I felt I was good at theater, I was actually going to go to school for it. I started getting all of my academic and financial aid stuff squared away too. So the first things I had to do was make sure I could go back to school, and then make sure I had the time to do the theater. So I switched to first shift, which started at 5:30 in the morning. And and then I went out and auditioned, and I got cast, and just kind of started from there in Huntsville.
You got cast in your first audition?
Yeah. And in fact,
nice.
Wow. I did an audition, and one of my good friends now, he's part of the evil, or he started the Evil Cheese Theater group. He's like, hey, we're doing this play. Can you be in it? And I'm like, yeah, sure. And he came and found me. It was open auditions is what it was. So it was for like the entire season. And so I did the auditions and got cast. Yeah.
Nice.
So
what was your first role?
So the first role I got cast as was in a play called The Axe, which is about a possessed axe. And I played the
sequel to Rubber.
An abusive, corrupt cop, jailer actually. And and I get axe murdered at the end of the play.
Nice.
Oh, yeah. Right on.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah. So that was
right.
But the first play I was in, so I was talked to about that first, but that was the second play I was in. The first play I was in was Joan of Arc, and I played one of the religious clergy that condemns Joan to burn at the stake.
Nice.
It's a fitting role for Jason.
Yeah. Burn. And I actually got, out of those two plays, I got some really, really wonderful friends out of that. So
nice. Good. So to follow that question up, Britt wants to know, what does theater work actually mean to you? Is it more than just storytelling?
It's life-saving. It is, God, it is the single most important activity or thing in my life outside friends and family.
Wow.
It's I think everybody finds whatever their creative outlet is. Whether it be souping up a car, whether it be band, whether it be painting. Mine is theater, and sometimes I feel like it's sometimes I wonder if it's fake, and because I don't lose myself in the role. I don't do things like method acting, and I don't do where I have to get into I don't do the thing where I have to get into it before the play or before the week I go on stage. Sometimes I wonder if I'm actually doing the craft, but I enjoy it so much, and I've been part of it for so long. It is definitely my outlet. and clearly I'm at least competent enough that I can at least hold the role and convey whatever it is that needs to be conveyed. So,
well, I don't think there's any right way to do it. I feel like it's different for whoever you are.
I think though, when you hear about, how, let's just say you're listening to somebody talk about their instrument, and somebody that you truly and really respect, and when they talk about it, they, in preparation for it, they talk about some methods that you've had not considered before, and that you think are really good ideas, and maybe you even feel like, wow, that sounds like you don't think this directly, but maybe in the back of your head, like, that sounds really advanced. Like, this person truly knows what they're doing. Like, and that's kind of what I mean when, like, you hear about all these actors who do the method acting, or they don't ever drop their accent when they're doing the entire movie, or, people in plays do the same thing. I've never encountered that in community theater, but, like, I had to do a Scottish accent in the last play. I'm sure there are some actors out there who would do a Scottish accent for the entire run of the play, regardless of what they're doing in their life, So that's kind of more what I'm talking about. It's like, you hear about all these really dedicated processes, and, that people use. And so, but I think what I do works for me.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that goes on top of, music in itself. And I guess really anything, is that there are the quote unquote necessary processes to be better, but then whatever works for you to get to those processes works. So so you can be an expert in something, or like one that is looked up to, not doing those same processes in like the same way. So whatever you do to get into those roles works for you, and it's seemed that it's been no problem for you. So that's a really big thing in itself. So everybody has that imposter syndrome once in a while.
Yeah. That's pretty kind of, that would be, in 2 words, what I just summed up in 5 minutes.
That's what we do here.
Yeah, that's why we're here, to get down to the truth.
So you mentioned looking up to actors and stuff like that. So one of my questions was going to be, if you could meet an actor, living or dead, who would it be? But I kind of want to expand on that. And you can answer that as well. But I guess the question I want to ask is, which actor do you look up to the most with the way they do their craft?
Oh my goodness.
We ask the hard questions here.
There's some actors that come to my mind. No.
Yeah,
he's a good actor, but no, he's not my type of actor.
Yeah.
He's excellent. I think, so I think Sean Astin is an actor I'd like to meet, because I feel very, like, there's a lot of similarities between he and I.
I can see that.
He's smaller in stature like me, compared to Hollywood. He kind of has just this really mild demeanor, I think, as a person. He doesn't mind playing goofy roles, and he does outstanding supporting roles. I've never really considered myself somebody who could end up being like a lead role, but I thoroughly enjoy doing character actors and supporting roles. So, and he's done really well, for his career in these roles. Rudy is like one of my all-time favorite sports movies.
Yeah.
It just between the story, the music, that's music that gives me goosebumps. The music to that movie, that score.
Yeah. Okay.
But anyway, and then of course, we get Jon Favreau from that movie. That's one of his first roles.
Oh wow.
He plays Debo.
Yeah.
But anyway, so I guess him, Jonathan Frakes from Star Trek: The Next Generation, Commander Riker.
Okay.
I've always really liked the cool swagger he's had, as that character. And he is leaned into kind of maintaining the that character for up through the end of Star Trek through now. He's fine with being known as Riker his whole life. He clearly enjoys coming back and playing the role. Well into his 60s and 70s. Oh God, Alan Rickman was a good one. I think he was a good one. I would have loved to meet Robin Williams.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, that would be amazing.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. And just sit and just have a beer with him just for an hour or two. I guess, so I think those would be some actors that I think I would have really liked to meet.
Okay. I said 1, but 5 is fine. So
you can edit that however you like, sir.
No, I'm just kidding. All right. So we're winding this one down. So we're going to start going into some quick fire stuff.
Okay.
Unless, Christian, you have a more hard-hitting question you want to ask?
No, you went over everything.
All right. So First up, if you could cosplay as anyone right now, who would it be? No limitations. Brittany's going to help you with the costume.
I think Cloud Strife.
Okay.
Final Fantasy VII.
Good. Yeah, we talked about that a little bit in our cosplay episode from a few weeks ago, so I'll be linking to that in the show notes. But all right, so actual quick fire stuff. What is your favorite movie of all time?
Used to be Gladiator. Now it's Everything, Everywhere, All at Once.
Ooh, really?
Very nice.
Really? Even with the fight scene at the end that goes on a little bit too long?
Still got 4.5 stars out of me. 4.75, whatever the heck it was.
Okay, no, that's an interesting answer, but I can see why. That's a heck of a movie. All right, same question, but video game. Favorite video game of all time?
Final Fantasy VII.
Yeah, we all know that one.
Yeah. I mean.
Okay, aside from that one, because that's just
okay.
We knew that.
It's a given.
God, I would have to say Horizon Zero Dawn.
Wow.
Or is it what was that one that kept comparing to Firefly? Outer Worlds?
Oh, or is it Outer Wilds?
No, it's okay. After Final Fantasy VII, it's a tie between Outer Worlds and Horizon Zero Dawn.
Okay. Good answers. All right. Favorite TV show of all time?
Frasier. No.
I was literally about to say Frasier for you. I was like, I'm reading in his eyes.
No, it is Firefly.
Firefly. Yep.
Yeah.
I feel like I know you really well because I know all these answers.
Yeah.
Okay. An interesting question. What is your favorite stage play of all time?
That I've been in or just I'm aware of?
Give me both answers. I want to know the one you've been in, but also just one you admire. Enjoy watching.
All right. So I don't know if this is an accurate assessment, but since it's so close, since it was so recent, but right now my favorite one that I've been in was Murder on the Orient Express.
Okay.
Gosh.
The Book of Mormon.
No, I've not seen the Book of Mormon.
Newsies.
I haven't seen Newsies. There was a production, an off-Broadway production I went to in New York called Phantom, which was just another version of Phantom of the Opera, and I loved that.
Okay.
So I'd have to say that one.
All right. And then last question: Marvel or DC?
Ultimately, when you take all things into consideration, movies, comics, everything, DC.
Mm-hmm. Nice.
Yeah.
All right.
Here's the real last question.
Ooh, here we go.
Okay.
I'm sure everyone
Christian
has been wanting to know.
Oh gosh.
Yeah.
I guess we know, but everybody else on the internet. Who is your Superman?
Oh man, God, it's
Nicolas Cage.
This interview is over. I want to speak with a lawyer. I feel assaulted right now. And
by that long, gorgeous hair and bad CGI.
No. Did you read? He said he actually didn't like it. Yes.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
He was like, that was
That was not me. I did not do that. Yeah.
He's like, I hate it. I'm like, as you should. No. Christopher Reeve, hands down.
Yeah.
Followed by Henry.
How do the other ones compare? Yeah. How do you rank
Henry
them?
Cavill.
Okay.
Henry Cavill after second. After watching finally Lois and Clark, not Lois and Clark, Superman and Lois,
Superman,
Tyler
yeah.
Hoechlin,
Nice.
and then Dean Cain after that, and I guess George Reeves.
Yeah.
After that,
There's-
because I,
Where does what's his face fall on the list? Superman Returns guy.
Oh, Brandon Routh.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
He would fall above Dean Cain.
Okay. That's not bad. It's not bad.
Yeah, because
I like that.
he was a good Superman. It was just the vehicle was pretty just blah.
Yeah.
They're all great actors though. Like it's
Yeah.
not. It's like rank the worst of the best. That's kind of like So
Yeah.
yeah.
Okay. Well, Jason,
Yo.
you'll agree with me. I think you have proven yourself a nerd.
Thank you.
I think you are free to go. No charges will be applied.
Good.
Plus,
I'll send you a bill for my time.
no non-nerds use the word proclivity,
Yeah, I was thrown off by that.
so I think you passed.
My dad calls that. That's one of them quarter words.
Yes.
Yes. Well, I appreciate getting to do this. I didn't. This was fun. If anybody out here that watched this likes it, let me know. Leave some comments.
Do you have a message to all nerds out there that you want to leave us with?
Be who you are. Be confident in it. Trust your instincts. And enjoy life. It's short. Do what you can with it.
Jason's over here dropping some bombs.
Wow,
Like,
some
my God.
gems. Start calling Mr. Rogers now.
Oh, so you have to dress up in this nice vest and tie every time. Like, you look suave.
Dapper.
I'm liking
Oh,
this.
thank you very much. Thank you.
Yes.
Thank you.
Yes. All right. Well, Jason, since you were our suspect this episode, what are 3 things nerds should be doing before they go check out the rest of our channel?
Well, clearly they should eat, sleep, and nerd.
Take it easy, people.